Hey, it is me, Wanda B, and you are listening to the tunes of Frankie Parker. Peace, love, wine. I love this song. It's soothing. That's what I wanted to hear today, Sunday, 2 p.m. The He Says, She Says show on IntellectualRadio.com. Guys, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. I want you to Intellectual Radio on YouTube. If you listen to the show, I know some of you are listening, watching on Facebook. I want you guys to join in the conversation. We're going to start soon, so I love to hear your thoughts on the topic. But if you watch from YouTube, you can subscribe to us. You're going to get some great notifications of some fantastic and intelligent shows we have here at IntellectualRadio.com. So I would appreciate that. Make that your New Year's resolution, please. So, okay, guys. Introduce my people here. I got my own certified life coach here, James Borshade.
Hello.
Valencia Jackson. You nasty? You know what Janet used to say?
I'm just saying.
And I got our T Bizzle.
Hey,
our
everybody.
comedian. She has a show here, CGF Entertainment, which is Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on IntellectualRadio.com. I do love all my Intellectual Radio family. So whoever tunes in, I'll give y'all some shout outs too. And then Facebook. Hey, you guys. You got it, Ruffin. Thank you, Christopher Ruffin. Appreciate that. Please join in the conversation. So last week, guys, talked about criticism versus feedback. So I want to give a little bit more on that, but you know what? I got to also mention, as I gave all my shout outs to my people here that are here with me, also our sponsor of this segment, Ullman Home Improvement. It's at 11636 South Pulaski and Alsop. If you have drafty windows, you're sitting by the window and you're like, oh, I'm feeling air. It's cold in here. I want you to contact Ullman Home Improvement. Tell George I sent you. We go way back. 708-238-1829. 708-238-1829. George Ullman at Ullman Home Improvement. Okay, so criticism versus feedback. It's very interesting that we have a group, He Said, She Said, on Facebook. So if you are not, please join our group. We talk about these topics all through the week. And sometimes it's not intended, but what comes up actually refers back to a show we had. And we had a gentleman who was having some issues and he wanted to discuss it. And then listening to the feedback, that constructive criticism that we think is built to help people isn't received that way. And so I still want to touch base on that very quickly, just that recap of the difference between constructive, because people feel like I'm trying to help you. What's wrong with you? And you should take this and build from it. But I feel it's a lot of times the delivery. It's not the what you say, it's how you're saying it to people. James.
So I want to make sure we're using the terms language. I firmly believe in my coaching practice, I tell people there's no such thing as constructive criticism. Criticism is, in and of itself, is just not constructive. Criticism talks about the problem. It talks about the person. It assigns fault. So it's hierarchical. So it sits one person on top of the other person. It makes one person right, the other person wrong. Feedback specifically goes after the actual problem and opens up the conversation for solutions. So if you are giving information, being an open dialogue to solve said issue, then what you are doing is being critical. And criticism is a recipe for disaster in any kind of relationship.
Drop mic. Valencia.
It was like real quiet.
What you think?
I think too, the disconnect that we're having is people think that what we're saying when we say give feedback, that and the other person gets it and there's no real problem. And I think that's what people are not getting. Feedback is not dancing around the problem. Mm-hmm. It's addressing the issue. But it's coming in a way, I think, instead of saying what you've done, it's kind of like, here's where we are, and this is how we are affected by whatever the situation was. When you do that, then the other person is more apt to be. Now, if you are giving great feedback and the other person isn't receiving it well, that's another issue. It doesn't mean that feedback is not the right way to go about it.
I agree. And at the same time, it may be that we need to change. And so it is received, because if the person isn't receiving it that way, why not say it in a different way? Maybe they go, okay, now I get it. And we can't always assume how we do things way, because that's how we do it for the other person.
Absolutely.
For the other person. Hey, you guys. Hey, Nino, I see you. We coming up, jaw jacking right after us. Thank you. I always love my intellectual radio family when they tune in. Jaw jacking will be up at 5 p.m. Hey, Toussaint, John, thank you so much. Where are the guys? We got James. O'Kara didn't feel well. It was his birthday. Well, I got to give a birthday shout out to O'Kara Hollis. He drank too much birthday party, and I don't think he wants to say it. Put his business out there. We ain't saying that.
Sorry, he had too much fruit punch.
That's okay, Capricorn. That's how we do. Turn up, keep it going. We got another week or so in here.
Yes, because in 1 month from today is my B-day when Aquarius has come through. The water, we're going to come on through. We're going to come on through. Aquarius. No man in the world. Anyway. I got something here. Okay, so feedback versus criticism. I think there are people, I think we talked about this last week, who, based on maybe how they were raised, how they talked to, can accept criticism a little bit different than, it sounds horrible. They shouldn't have to accept criticism, but some people are more, what you think about that? If you were used to someone who communicated with you that way, sometimes that doesn't bother you. Or that sometimes we had someone call in. Let me bring this around what I'm trying to say. Mark Quinn had called in and said that he was used to receiving criticism, feedback in a certain way. So that's how he gives it. They need to toughen up. Is it that some people are tougher to the criticism, feedback based on how they were raised and how they were used to receiving feedback?
So that I think what psychologists' books and research has all shown is critical. Almost all of them were raised in a critical environment, and they tend to be just as critical, if not more critical, on themselves than they are to the person who is receiving their criticism. And I think one of the things that I want to make sure we clarify, because a lot of times the brunt end of conversation that you shouldn't be critical in a relationship. And I had a lot of people come back afterwards and say, well, how do I tell him or her? How do I say to my partner that you messing up? And see, that very thought, that very notion says, if doing it is right, doing it is wrong. Now, if there isn't an established, agreed upon methodology, then again, what you are doing to the person who you are talking to is destructive. But if you are giving feedback, and I'll give some examples in a little bit, but if you are giving feedback where you're saying something to the notion of, hey, we did X, Y, or Z, how do we go about getting A, B, or C as the result that we both agreed upon? How do we go about doing that?
We're not going to stay on this one long because it was last week's topic. I just wanted to, because it created so much conversation through the week, I just wanted to recap some of the points so people, especially some of the people who came up with having an issue with that through the week, could take those from this show.
There's an age-old adage, he didn't take the garbage out. Let's just use that one. So garbage is standards. Hey, James, can you take the garbage out? Sure, I'll take the garbage out. You come back an hour later and the garbage is still sitting there. Take the garbage out. And this happens a lot of times. A person who has good communication style, when they get to a certain point of repeating themselves, it turns critical real fast. You didn't take the garbage out. Every time I say da 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 da, you didn't take the. When we agreed that the garbage will go out, help me understand why the garbage is still here. Same question. same statement. Help me understand why this garbage is still here, and how could I have helped you get this garbage out of this kitchen? People, it might be, well, the garbage ain't full to me. Garbage is full to you. The garbage looks full to me. Garbage doesn't look full. Our definition of full might be different, or he might tie it up, put in the bag, put it next to the door. Ways to give your message that doesn't say, "Are you?" Why this should have been done X, Y, or Z ago, because you and I discussed it being done X, Y, or Z ago. Does that help?
It does. It does. For me, it does. Because the way I was raised, the garbage was taken out automatically. Grandparents. So that was old fashioned. So in my dating and in my marriage, that it wasn't taken out when I asked. So then I changed my wording and I said, when you get a chance. I had already expressed, I don't like when you tie it up and sit it right there. If it's liquids and stuff in there, now you just spill it all on the floor. I don't like when you tie it up, sit it by the door, so what I do, you put the sugar on there, like we talked about, and just say, hey, baby, when you get a chance, you take the garbage out.
But what if he doesn't do it? What's next? You said the sugar's gone.
I think you discussed the feelings that it caused of that. You say when you did not do that, I felt a certain way. The person can't argue with how you felt. I'm telling you how I tell you how I felt.
Deep on it. I just take it out so it won't be.
But then that's building up something to me instead of taking a thing. Yeah, you mad as you taking it out though. I think we need to discuss it. You're mad because you're taking it out.
But why are you mad that you're taking it out?
Okay, if we discussed that and you agreed, if you didn't feel like taking the garbage out, that your time to say that was when I said, babe, when you get a chance, you take the garbage out. And say, oh, babe, I don't think I'm going to be able to get to it today because I'm doing X, Y, Z. Then now, okay, I won't be mad to take it out.
And I will take it out.
But if I asked you and you told me that you would, and then a whole day goes back, I'm looking at this like, okay, did you disregard? What did you prioritize? What was more important? I gave you it. I said it in a sweet way. You can't say I tried to be your mother. I'm taking that garbage out, sure will, and I'm be popping the bag like this when I put it back in the garbage can. And I'm gonna be like, man, it was cold outside when I took that garbage out.
I used to be like that, but then I stopped.
How are you like now?
I just when I say it, and if it isn't taken out by the time that I'm going out the door, I just say, okay, that energy that I was finna spend cussing him out. I just take the garbage out.
And you let it go?
And I let it go.
Okay.
Because I used to do that.
Last week? Was last week?
Yeah, no. I just take it out because I'm going, by the time I get to spending this energy and I'm building up this anger over garbage, I just take it out. I said, that's okay. I got it, babe. And then we get, okay, honey, whatever.
And guess what both of you just said to handle that. Mm-hmm. And as you said, listen, I'm not mad that I'm the one taking the garbage out. I'm mad that you shared what you were going to do,
right,
and then you didn't follow through. And I think a lot of us have to hold ourselves accountable to giving our words and then not following through with what we said we were going to do.
And addressing it in that fashion.
Absolutely.
In that fashion that is not over. I'm not telling you to take out the garbage, but if you said you were going to do it, that was the expectation. Yeah. And maybe it's the tone too. If you say it in that way that I had the expectation of you taking it out, or myself if you hadn't said you were going to do it. And then if you just don't mind taking it out yourself, take it out yourself and let it go and move on. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to take it out and then they still last 2 times, I took it out myself and you're going to hold it against them, then you needed to handle that a little different if it's going to come back on the person anyway, that you took it out and you still mad. You have to kind of.
Agreed. I think one thing you mentioned, Valencia, that is important is the time to say you're not going to be able to do it was when I asked.
Yes.
Time to say, you know what, probably not going to be able to get to this
quicker than you.
Or at least ask by when.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't going to go out in the next 2 hours.
Right.
Because then I think,
That's it.
right, it's not going out during the game. I'm watching the game.
But
It's not
game
about
on,
the
baby.
life.
I ain't gonna do it. But soon as the
These
game
are
over, I got
grown-up relationship conversations.
Real simple.
These are grown-up relationship conversations.
Absolutely.
Look,
And you're both
Bears are
agreeing.
playing, and
I'm not telling you to do something. We're both coming to
It
a
needs to
common
be
ground
done.
of when it's gonna get done.
And when it's gonna get done.
I
Just
like
like
that.
anything else, from the garbage to the bills to the next move to everything.
That's it.
Grown-up
These
conversations.
are grown-up
not-
conversations.
I
Yeah.
like that. I
Raw.
like that. So another topic we'd like to talk to, you're listening to He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com. And please, if you're watching on Facebook, share the group, share the broadcast. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to Intellectual Radio. I promise you'll like it. We have here, we have over 70 shows with all different varieties of topics. So is there a proper way to break up with someone when the relationship is over? When one or the other knows this is over, or we both agree, is there a proper way? They laughing. Why they laughing?
Y'all looking at me. I'm not usually the
God,
person
you
they
said
call. I'm not usually the person they call to break up. I'm the guy they call to stay
After
together.
when they, oh my God, it hurts. Help me.
Because I'm just thinking out loud. That's why.
So
I'm laughing.
Tucson, I'm going to throw you out there with what you said. Let me of breaking up, which I think honestly would probably be mine too. I think it works, but it probably doesn't work. It probably isn't the healthy. You know, I ain't gonna say it's a healthy way of doing things. Nah.
She put a disclaimer out
I'm gonna
already.
put it right there. I've been the journey to wholeness at 9501 New England and Oak Lawn 708-634-3664. But see, I still gotta go because I'm still working on it.
Right.
It's a journey. It's a journey. That's why they call it journey to wholeness. So he said, what did he say? Let's see if I can find it quickly. But I'm going to use my method because I was in agreement. I would call it the ghost.
Yes. Something about what did he say? No,
you
he doing like a
handle it
job.
you do a job.
No call, no show.
No call, no show.
He said do it no call, no
Do it just like you would a job. No call, no
That's the best
show.
way to be.
Tucson.
I'm in agreement.
No.
No, see, that's why I still go for help. I'm in agreement.
Oh,
No
my
call, no show.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I am
Go
waiting
ghost.
to hear some professional advice on this because
you don't wanna
this
take
was
my
like
advice?
my question because I am so confused. What are you supposed to do? Because I think when people get to that point of breaking up, damn, they toy with breaking up. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's the people and the judgment and the attachments and how long do you move on and before and what was you doing? And there's just so much with it that we don't just break when we need to break. So I'm tuning in for this one. This was my question. I need some answers.
But when you say breakup, I think you're talking kind of all inclusive of not just with that person. Like how do you break up with them? Like all the other people, when you have been together with someone for a time and you have attachments and people who know and love you all and have opinions to your relationship and hurt feelings over the relationship and hurt. So they feel like you done broke up with them too. Or like they got some opinions on it. So
right, you not speaking and you block each other off Facebook. It get real heavy.
It do get heavy. You're not invited.
You know, you be in Walmart going down the other aisle. And
you dodging them.
I ain't talking about she broke up with my cousin. It got
Nothing to do with you.
What that got to do with anything?
I'm
Yeah.
the same. I do that.
You still got to see your niece and nephew. So what's going on? You know, why you mad at me? I hate breaking up.
So we gonna turn to James. See, that's why we bring James.
I told y'all they don't call me for breakup. No, so okay. The healthy way to break up starts long before the actual breakup. The first thing is to make it
right. Get some pen and paper.
You already done it.
Right, I'm gonna say I'm done with the breakup, but I want to teach somebody something.
Each one teach
make a
one.
decision though. Is this really what I want to do? So never decide to break up in the heat of an argument or in the heat of the moment.
Agreed.
Oh, that's good.
Agreed.
That's a t-shirt.
Agreed.
That's a t-shirt.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
Take some time, get back to your center, get back to your core energy and decide, you know what? Is this right for me?
Mm-hmm.
I tell people have a sober moment of we drunk in love, but get back to the place where you are sober. Ask, you know what? Is this really what I want for the rest of my life? And if you can get to a place where you're saying this person is not what I want for the rest of my life, then start to prepare to have a grown-up conversation. So number 2, don't blame. That is that's hard. I said, Valencia, pause. Don't.
I did. I was like,
don't blame.
Challenge on that one. Yeah.
Don't blame. I'm breaking up with you because if you had just did, or if you had just been a little bit more, then we wouldn't be breaking up.
Oh wow.
No, that you breaking up because both another. Because whoever that is might be perfect doing it exactly the way he or she is doing it for somebody else.
Okay. You said we both not right?
For one another. Because
right.
remember,
Okay.
We don't want to.
Ain't no wrong with you. You can do what you want to do.
Right. But just you can't just do it with me.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, that's okay. No, right. You just can't do it with me.
That in my mind, like,
I'm with you.
You just can't. You can't.
Great
You just,
job. I'm listening.
Okay.
Okay, keep going.
are you doing?
I am. I got the
She's checking off her mark.
I got blame and
Now together. I'm gonna give you an example. So I'm about to. We're filming a television show Friday. I sat with my team of leaders and said, "Here's what I'm planning to say. I want you all to tell me where I'm going wrong, and then we're gonna come back on Tuesday, and I'm gonna see if I've incorporated your feedback into my speech, and then we're gonna talk about it one more time, and then by Friday it's gonna be just right. Words together to determine how will he or she respond to what I'm about to say.
be truthful in what you're getting ready to say. Don't bash, but be honest.
I'm gone.
Bashing is
don't
bash.
Right,
No call, no show. You on that?
Yeah, don't bash, but be honest.
Okay.
Without blaming. I'm leaving because if you had combed your hair to the right, or if you had brushed your teeth a little bit more, then it's related. No, don't bash, don't blame. You're talking to a whole person who might be right for somebody else. Really, when you decide to break up, what you should be deciding is who you are and who I am. Not who you are is wrong. Would be a little bit better, then we would match.
Okay.
That makes sense to me.
That does.
Yes, is that makes
And
sense.
then when you look at it that way, then you don't go through this long, drawn out healing process that everybody think you got to do because you looked at it as a piece of your journey, and it didn't work. What did I learn from it? What did you learn about yourself? What do you learn about what you like, what you don't like? And everybody don't have that understanding. So when you run into someone with that understanding, they get misjudged because that's how they view that, and they instead of and being all hurt and stuff.
So what would your advice, James, be to people who experience a breakup from the outside? So my best friends, I was friends with both of them. Both of them were cool to me. They're no longer together, and these people feel like they need to take a side one way or the other.
You might not like my advice, but I'm gonna be real quick.
Uh-oh.
Let me get a filter marker.
You grown. You can be friends with whoever you want to be friends with.
Mm-hmm. And if they choose not to be, then they was not your friend.
Then they were my friend in the first. I'm grown. So if you didn't do anything to offend me, then we still cool. And if the other person don't like it, then we weren't cool in the first place. Most people don't want relationship. They want rulership.
That again.
Most people don't want relationship. They want rulership. You can't rule. You're not ruling the other person. We in relationship together. You're dealing with other grown folks. So if you want to be friends with Valencia, be friends with Valencia. I am not your father. Have at it.
People do that.
They do. They choose.
It get rough out here in these streets.
It get real rough. I know two friends that just did that. They broke up and they were together. Friends with both of them, and she was looking at me like, "Well, I knew you first." I was like, "But
that's something."
He didn't do anything to me, so I don't have a problem with him. If I want him to buy me a drink, but you all had to clash out.
But think about that. T-Business. Isn't that something your kid would have said back in 3rd, 4th grade?
And that's why
we were friends first.
Everything in a relationship,
first.
if you compare it to what a child would say, it would be child.
Yeah, that's not childlike.
It's very third grade sometimes.
I mean, you can be friends with him. When you done with him, we going out tonight at about 8. So just let me know when y'all done.
Now, what if they feel like I explained to you everything this person did to me, the ins and out of how they've hurt me, and now you are still choosing friends, so they feel like you betraying me because
certain acts seem too vile that how could you still he was abusive to me or he did this to our children. In those instances, I can understand the emotion attack. 9 out of 10 people don't remain friends in those instances. We're talking about the instances where no fault, kind of, you knew it was building up, you was my friend and stuff, but
I've had that happen to me. I mean, I'm a lot younger. I'm way past it, but just because this came up in this instance of that, like I had really been done. I mean, what I felt was very awful and bad things. Mm-hmm. But if you choose to still be that person's friend, I mean, like, what do you see in them after they have these kind of behaviors? Right.
So
so for me, I mean, I just stopped being both their friends. They go have each other. But was I wrong? This is so long ago. I wouldn't even handle it the same way. I'm like talking 22-year-old me versus 32-year-old me. What I do now is so different, but I do believe people still think that way.
They do. Let's look at the root of this, though. You confess or allege, I should say, that your ex did all these nasty things to you. Your friend chooses to still remain friends with him. What you're really looking for is validation from your friend. Agree with me. Right. And what your friend might be telling you is, I don't think you're telling the truth. I don't think you're being all the way honest. Or your friend might be telling you, well, this person may have allegedly done this to you. Who you are explaining, who you say he or she is not who I know them to be, and they haven't done it to me.
We're in a different style
of relationship.
Yeah. And that's true. That makes sense to me. And that's how I think my now version is. I let people have their own relationships with people.
Read Tucson's statement.
I know people don't like this word. I don't mean that.
I'm going to send him a virtual hug. First of all, he said most black folks ain't been in love since 9th grade. We ain't that attached. Then he said that there's some feminine stuff.
Some feminine stuff.
Women are so territorial.
Well, what he's saying is feminine stuff. Like,
feminine.
Let me say this.
Thank you.
Guys are not gonna be like, dude, you was my friend first.
You a lie. I'm gonna call that one.
Yeah.
No, Lordy.
You know guys that do that.
I'm a little bit more feminine in 20.
Really?
You talking about
we disagreed in 3 weeks.
We talking about men. We talking about guys.
And that's all I got to say about that. First. That is not just the feminine. That is not just something women do.
Well, that might not just be something women do, but that is feminine energy.
Okay, all right. All right, well, I roll with that, but I thought y'all was trying to say
guys be like to other guys, dude. You was my friend first.
They got friends to their female friends.
In a situation, I'm talking to guys. I mean, a guy saying that you was my friend first. I mean, some of this is
Tucson. You know guys like that. Help me out.
No, y'all don't.
You know, Tucson don't know nothing but lions and stuff.
You only know lions.
He just know Muslims. He don't know anybody else.
Thank you, Tucson. Yeah, because I don't know men like that.
You know what?
I do.
You were my
y'all
friend.
think y'all don't know men like that.
But
here it is. The men that know that James would shame them on that are not going to share that, but you got somebody that's doing this stuff. I'm trying to tell y'all.
First of all, I wouldn't shame them, maybe because they would never do that, but I wouldn't shame them because we don't even think like that. Because
when y'all men get hurt, y'all think a different kind of way.
Let me be honest with you. I have men who in my life today who were friends with my ex-wife and who are still friends with my ex-wife. I got people who will listen to the show today who are friends with both me and my ex-wife, and they don't make me no never mind.
We're talking about the unhealed people out there, but we're saying let's just not narrow that down to the womankind.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna acquiesce to that. You're right. That's not not just the women kind do that.
It's
I guess men.
It's women like.
Let me say this. I guess there are males who do that also.
Yes, there are males. Keyword. Gotcha.
The males are more messier today than they.
Think so?
Oh my God.
Why do you say that, T. Bizzle?
I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen I have witnessed one of my male friends, this particular lady that I've known for a long time. He got her and he talks about her everything from the bedroom to her finances to her children, and he is being around spreading their business, but he still stays with her, but he dogs her out. Okay. I wouldn't have ever thought that he would do that. And I've seen guys get a fit when you break up or they not talking with such and such, and you still be friends with her. He will be mad at you. Oh, don't mess with her. She kicking it with old girl. They doing the bobos and all that. And you be like, really? And you a guy and you act like that? Now my grandfather and them and James, and they didn't do that. They ignored it. Men didn't even used to gossip. They used to be like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that now. I don't want to hear that. Now they love the gossip. Oh my God, they are the ones that will kick it off. Yeah, not all of them, but they the ones that will kick it off, and you would be surprised.
My father, what I remember of my father is not even entertaining. I mean, not even wanting to be included in any conversation that sound like. So he said, she said.
They would leave.
He was like, no, they turned off. He wouldn't even come to.
They leave. They would go to
I think now they're all
basement. Yeah, it's different today.
You know what? I love something off of here, James, that we said we were going to talk about today. So I am going to segue into about trauma affects a relationship. And I didn't put that as one of the topics, but I'm going to throw that out there because we had discussed talking about that here on He Said, She Said on IntellectualRadio.com. We mentioned it. And are you prepared for that?
I am. I want to just say hello to my daughter, Jasmine Nicole, who is
Hey, hi, Jasmine Nicole. She got a fancy name. Sounds like a perfume.
Jasmine Nicole.
Jasmine Nicole at Macy's.
Yeah, this is Jasmine Nicole.
So
I love that name.
How trauma impacts relationships. That is much of where our misunderstandings come from. And so it is imperative that, number one, we identify where we've been hurt past in our youth, in our adolescence, in our teenage years. It is imperative that we identify where we've been hurt, because where we've been hurt is where we're ultra sensitive. Ultra sensitive is where we will cut somebody if they hit that wound or re-injure that or even come close to that. And that is impacting relationships in droves, not knowing where you were wounded. I'll give an example. Some people have grown up in homes without fathers. That some of that has been traumatic. And so the first sign of, or let me just say this, some people have grown up in homes without two parents, and they have processed that in a way of feeling abandoned. When you have felt abandoned or have been traumatized by abandonment, that comes along that gives you the first sign of abandonment, act in a hurt way. And most people, if you've been traumatized by something, you are looking out for anything that could be, should be, might be, could possibly be a sign of that trauma coming back. And when you do that, misinterpret another person's intentions based on the trauma that we have experienced at home. Thoughts?
That's true. I get it.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
In a nutshell, I think that because I think I heard Joyce Meyer say it when she said about your words. What we do with past relationships and new ones, we are so busy focusing on what not to do wrong instead of just what can we do right. If growing, we so busy. Oh, I better not cuss him out. I better not emasculate him. Instead of just working on today, just because he made me scrambled eggs with Swiss cheese. It fails in a lot of the relationships. And then it goes into your work relationships. It goes into your finances. It goes into your relationship with your kids because you're so busy saying, I don't want to do nothing wrong. I want to do nothing wrong instead of just saying.
Now, what I was going to ask is, do people realize that they've had trauma?
A lot of people don't. I'm going to speak. Listen, until I got into this work, I thought I was whole, healed, and, suited and booted and delivered. And then saying we uncovered all kinds of trauma. I need help. Somebody.
You said that, James?
God, coaches need coaches too.
Okay.
Yeah. I see a coach. I see someone.
I need a team and a coach.
Journey to Wholeness Center, 9501 New England in Oakland. And then our dear certified life coach here, James Borchet.
So I'll give you a personal prime example. So with my in my house, I grew up with a Nigerian father. And if you grew up in a Nigerian household, you already know that means act the fool and you getting. And I don't mean beat to the point of you're gonna get a spanking. You would pray for an extension cord to be how you were disciplined.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh gosh, because I mean, you never talk back. You didn't question. If your dad says sit and you said when, you might get smacked. Just a warning. And so we got beat a lot. And so what I tried to do with my children is I tried to overcompensate kids also. So we didn't ask questions in my house. You just did what you were told to do. And that was the bottom line. And so I realized now that my sons are older that I have stated for that in an area. And so when I started sitting down with my own coach and counselor, she's like, that's an area for you. And so, but it's little bitty things like that. Identify how you respond in certain areas, how you respond to certain stimuli. And this is where we start talking about level 5 in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, really getting to self-actualization and knowing who you are, how you are, but more importantly, why you are.
Absolutely. But he was not niggering. And it was very similar to what you described. So he must be, that's where his roots must be from. Because baby, he ain't playing.
Nigerian. You got it, boo.
Yes.
That's another t-shirt, man. That's just what we go with.
If I told y'all how we was, okay.
Baby, we had to answer yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Wasn't no harm, wasn't all.
When you go home today, if you have a spray gun on your sink, the spray guns on your sink, look at the rod and how thick that is. To replace it, he kept the rod that we replaced to use as his new strap, as he called it. Thing touches your skin in the least bit, well, the size of you and you're gonna need some aloe vera on that spot. Now imagine then being told to call stoop down, where you stood on one foot and you had one finger to help you and your back leg was up in the air, and you did that for like 3, 4, 5 hours. And if you got tired and your knee touched the ground, you were getting hit with the rod.
Corporal punishment.
I was just getting ready to say, you got a good core, don't you? You can stand up anyway.
Right, tighten the core. You know what I recognized, and what I recognized once I was dealing with that with someone who was going to Journey to Wholeness all the time, worked and going there. It was Mother's Day. And usually Mother's Day annoys me. Why Mother's Day would annoy me is people would start Mother's on Friday and Mother's Day is on Sunday. And I was like, why y'all keep extending Mother's Day? I'm going to stay off Facebook. And one reason, but I had learned, I had a coping mechanism. My mother is ill and has been ill for over 20 years. So Mother's Day is not some fluffy thing for me. I'm not wanting to have all these pictures. I've had a sick mother for 20 years. So for me, I was healed from it. I reconciled that my mother was this, and I'm just going to stay off Facebook. I may respond to some people with annoyance, like, oh my goodness, like, why we don't do this for Father's Day? Why do we do this for Mother's Day? Father's Day is one day. Why is Mother's Day 2 weeks? And so, but then I realized, why do you feel that way? When I really started always looking at why I am responding to something, this response, and why do I want to keep having this response? When do I heal that? So Mother's Day means nothing to me. When would I heal instead of just covering up and thinking I'll just go through it this year and wait till next year and go through it? I told myself, you know what? I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't want to have this feeling about Mother's Day. I want to be able to go on Facebook, do what I do and not get this. But I was like, so where do I start? And so that's, I think sometimes we have created coping mechanisms, defenses to pains, and just felt like we were okay with it because I'm okay with my mother being sick. I'm all right with that. I feel like I'm accustomed to it. Not.
Now you're getting into the real crux of this thing. Most of us don't ever get healed from trauma. We just find a way to cope. And when you get into a relationship with another person and you haven't been healed from trauma, oftentimes they push your coping mechanism to its limit. So, for example, if you say, I'm going to stay off Facebook for Mother's Day, and your partner says, you know what? I'm gonna tag you in a couple Facebook posts on Mother's Day to say Happy Mother's Day.
You need to do this. You need to say this. They constantly tell me what I need to do for Mother's Day, and I'm like, I know what I need to do, and it's going up inside of me because I'm like, you don't even know all the details. Stay out of this. This ain't your concern.
Stay in your lane.
This ain't your concern. I know I've dealt with this. You can't tell me what's in this building. I'm like, stop trying to heal, and I'm like, want to smack you now because now you like keep trying to help me heal. And then I realized, that's not right. That's not healthy for you. You're going to have to deal with this.
Well, I love what you're saying, that you've identified a place to heal. And one of the ways you've done that, and we talk about this a lot, if you want to change your life, change the questions you're asking. The question by saying, why am I responding this way? That entire question opens up a whole new realm of possibility for healing. And so when you get to a place where you've identified trauma or hurt, it is imperative that if you're in a relationship, you share where you've been hurt with your significant other so that they don't re-injure you in that spot. Now, let me say this to the significant others. If a partner has shared a place of injury, it is now, what they're really doing is transferring or sharing responsibility with you. It is now partly your responsibility to ensure that you don't re-injure that spot.
But isn't it also on them to heal too? You can't just say I told them and now just keep ignoring it.
I agree. It's on you to heal. You have to go through your own healing process. But now as a mate, I then have to know, okay, this is a place where you're going to be injured, because most misunderstandings come from wounds that you don't even know exist. So for example, your significant other might say, you know what? I'm bringing you flowers on Mother's Day. I'm going to tag you on a Facebook post on Mother's Day. And we're going to go to the spa on Mother's Day. And all of that might seem normal to your spouse, but it might tick you off on Mother's Day.
Get that.
So if I don't know what your pain points are, I'm just going to keep pushing them until you decide, you know what? Not for me. And I don't even know I'm pushing your pain points. Or worse, what we say is, you crazy.
But and the other side too, though, is if you haven't told them, anybody accountable for what I haven't told you. But if you've told them, expect them to always, and then you've done nothing. If you don't do anything to heal and keep expecting people to just do it on the other end, I think
you have to heal. But my question would be about the healing, because I'm healed. Does that mean my tolerance level opens back up? This why for that? I don't.
It shouldn't. That's
where healing for other people, healing for different people means different things.
Yes.
So for some, it might mean your tolerance level is open to it. For some, it may mean, you know what, my tolerance level is growing. For some, it might mean my tolerance level is not going to ever grow, but my response is going to be different. So for healing looks different to different people.
Okay.
But it is both. It is your responsibility to go through your own healing process. It is the other person's responsibility to know where these pain points are. This is where the Bible tells husbands to dwell together with your wife according to knowledge. It is imperative that we know the person. We should have a relationship for the long haul. You should be trying to get a PhD in your spouse. in it for the long haul.
And that's not a player-hated degree.
Well, you say PhD in that person, though. I think some people say, like, take me as I am. Like, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to do nothing
I don't think
different.
that's what he means. I think what he means, no, you need to know your mate. You need to know the ins and outs. What are they thinking? You should be able to look at your mate and know what they want, what they don't want without words being spoken. This is that level that I was told previously that was unachievable.
Oh, it's achievable.
And I want to tell you, it's a lie. It is very achievable. And so when you do that, then some of these things are taken out, and so what one post we had to touch base on this kind of touch, where it was like, well, if you tell them, then now you telling them what to say, what not to say, they know what game to play. No, but then you have other spidey senses in place for that, but you should not tell your story or talk about what may have happened in the past, i.e. your wounds, because you want this person to know. You want them to show you that they care and understand enough to not go there with you. And so it's and I know Tucson.
Yes, but Tucson, I think I would agree with you here, though. You got to have a PhD in yourself first to be asking somebody else to.
Oh, absolutely. No, now that is clear. That's
asking somebody to learn you.
You'll hear me use the terms level 5. That's really self-actualization. Most people, I can't tell you how disheartening this is, but most people go through life and don't know themselves. It's frightening, but it's real. Most people go through life and don't really discover who they are. Like, why do I do X, Y, or Z? Why is this affecting me in this way? Why am I talking this way? I encourage everybody to really sit down and decide, what are your core values? What are your life guiding principles? Like, what the situation is, what am I basing my decisions on? Every organization has that. Vision statement, mission statement, core guiding principles, and core values. We as individuals need to have that as well. We got to know ourselves, or we cannot in all reality expect anyone else to know us. Just know who we are. Now, let me say this. This is how people get played. Some people who are so adept at reading people that they know you better than you know you. And that's when you get played.
Yes.
That's true.
Agree. That's why I it was for me, my connection that I made was my father was being that controlling man. So that was my norm. That was normal for the man to be in control. My mom didn't work for years at his request. And he did the Sunday where he gave her day off, and we went to breakfast as a family. We went to Funtown. We went to dinner, and you never went to Funtown. 95th and Stony Island Avenue.
95th and Stony Island Avenue. Funtown.
Fellas, help, fellas, help.
That's Funtown.
So and so I had that as a vision.
Yeah, like a vision being in mind.
I know, right?
Funtown.
Yes, Funtown was so fun. Maybe that's why they call it that.
You've never been to Funtown?
I never even heard of Funtown.
You don't remember that commercial, John? 95th and Stony Island Avenue.
95th and Stony?
It was a whole amusement park.
Yes.
It was on BMX and WJPC.
Ain't that white? Ain't that white?
Start calling us old for knowing about Funtown.
You thinking about 79?
No, 95th and Stony. That was a courtesy on 95th and Stony Island.
Amusement park.
Wow.
It was called Funtown.
And
it was great. But that was my, my dad.
I'm sorry. Bring us
my
back.
dad, right. My dad and the structure of the home.
Up.
And so I easily migrated into a controlling situation that turned out to be more than just what I thought it was. And so I do I know why I got in that situation and how it was an easy transition for me. And he was older than I was. And so I was very readable. And he read me so well, and I was in a trap, baby. I was in a trap. Wow. But so I get that. And now
exactly.
James,
we're not old Tucson, but probably.
There you go.
Good job.
That's the true thing what Tucson said. You have to know and why you sleep this way or why you use a different kind of soap, or like for me, I know I'm anal retentive, but that was being the oldest, well, the firstborn grandchild. And so my grandmother, me not understanding the hurt that she went through, I didn't know that my grandfather was cheating on her. I didn't know he had an outside family. I didn't know she was still carrying the mourning of her son being murdered by his best friend on April Fool's Day. You know, I didn't know she had all of this hurt. So I was looking at it as, this is how the house should be. But they were trying to protect me, but instead they hid me from knowing the reality of the world.
Or how they were operating from their own trauma.
That was it. That was it. So I have the trauma like you have with the Mother's Day. I do not like Mother's Day. Number one, I don't get, I feel I deserve, because I'm always saying, hey, happy Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day. And they not even my mama, but I say it out there. But people don't say, they be like, oh, okay, thank you. And I be like,
well, I don't feel the same way now. I will say that I went to Journey to Wholeness that day. I got up, got out my bed. I had surgery. I said, no, we're going to deal with this right now. I went over to Journey to Wholeness, saw Kim Plesher, and that one day, you think of different, gave me the tools. I have never been bothered by it since. That one day I went in there with her and said, I don't want to feel this way no more. I am sick and tired of going up feeling like I can't go to, hasn't bothered me a day since. When she gave me the tools to say this way and think about that, changed how I thought about it. I'm like, yeah. I mean, it has never happened since. But at that time, though, sometimes we need to. And even today, Valencia, we talked about something right before the show. And then I said to myself, I really got angry about it. I was ready to curse people out. I was about to go around. But now, since we've had this show, see, I love my show. That's why it really helps me, myself. Because I'm going to go back and say, why did you feel that way? Because that's coming from someplace. Anger about that touched some nerve. There's some trigger. There's some trauma. There's something behind that thing that we shouldn't even allow people to. It shouldn't affect you that way. So I'm gonna fix that.
Is there something wrong with?
I was just about to say. I was just about to say.
I
was just about to say. I don't know that it should or shouldn't affect you in a certain way. My thing is identifying that it does affect you, and then deciding if you're okay with being affected that way. And if the answer is yes, so for example, if kid, right, been slapped as a kid, and now I have a sensitivity to being slapped, and you slap me and it hurts. For me being upset,
okay,
that I've just been hit. You get what I'm saying? So I mean that's a loose example, but I think we have to first identify. Okay, am I okay with feeling this way? And if so, I'm good with that. But if you get to the place where you say, you know what, I don't like feeling this way about this particular issue, that is when it might be a time to seek professional help. There are some topics that cannot be coached out. Topics that need therapy, that need counseling, that need trained professionals to really go through giving us the tools to cope. And I mean, as a 40+ year old African American male, do not fit the stereotype of somebody going to see professional help.
Absolutely.
But once you get into being the professional help, you realize, oh snap, you can't read the books you write. You got to go read other people's books, get professional help. So I will never, this is a guiding principle. I would never ask you to do something I won't do myself. So if people call me for help, believe me, I'm calling other people for help as well. And that's just stuff. I'm going to go back to that. It's just grown folks stuff.
It is. You don't have no problem in being admittable and open. But see, that's the problem again.
But I ain't come out the box that way.
No,
right.
You didn't. But you're still openly honest, which is grown folks stuff. A lot of men won't do that. They're not going to come to you and say, I'm talking to a guy right now. His big emphasis is the fact that his mother called him MF. But he is just hurt by it. She's passed away and everything, but he's hurt by it. That was the 2 hours of our conversation. And I was very attentive. And I was like, so how do you feel about it now? You hear the word MF, he still has that trigger. Now, I haven't told him he needs counseling. I just told him I'll keep listening, to his story to understand him so I can know where him and I are going.
So but I know
story, just don't call him off.
Right.
Yeah.
I already got
That's
that.
the number
You
one.
have to be the
We gonna have
I'm
to
serious.
We-
I'm like, well, I
for
won't
real.
get mad.
call him
I
everything
won't
else
say-
in the book, but don't go to don't go to
call
MF.
him up and all of that.
Call him
But don't,
Pop 50.
He
Don't call
did.
him an MF. No.
He did.
don't do it.
Jokes.
He did.
No, but that's not fun. That's not a joke.
It's
Don't
still
call him
right.
that.
Don't do
Yeah.
that. He didn't
That's a
touch
trigger.
you.
He said,
Yeah.
his
No,
mother would. He said after his mother would call him that, then she would get on the phone and be like, "Let me tell you what this MF did. This MF," and I was like,
Yeah, you probably want to stay real far away from that word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
But where
even,
now does he continue to tell that story? I remember once someone told me that you keep telling that you tell somebody when you meet them, and that's probably the story you need to heal or not to. Like, where does he stop being so affected by MFer? When does he decide that he needs to let it go?
He probably can't decide to let it go. He
Right.
might need help. He might need help understanding it or processing it. So listen, not everything that that affected us as children or in our youth or even in relationship, not everything that hurt us or caused us trauma do we need to let go. We need to process.
keep
Okay.
it as a
Process.
lesson.
Because yes, it's a lesson.
Some of it is
it gives you the alarms you need now to go off again about that. That's why I say it's never really
Not to go off,
gone.
but to be more
Aware.
of where you are. Not to go, but now you know how not to be put in these situations. It should be your precautions. It should be, so that makes sense to me. And honestly, nobody should be calling nobody no MFer anyway. So I mean, not really. I mean, it's not
They
like
shouldn't.
it's he should be okay with it. I guess that.
It can even be saying in a loving way. It just might just feel tough.
You ever heard the loving way of being an MFer?
Like, yes.
Yeah.
Like you're my MF dog, you my homie.
No, not that one. We
Not
talking
that
about
one?
No, we're talking about
Ways
the
to say
bedroom.
that.
The bedroom
It's some
way,
nice
like,
ways.
ooh,
Ooh,
It's some
okay.
nice
It's some
ways.
nice loving
yeah,
ways
it's
of
some
being
nice
an
ones,
MFer.
like, oh, look at my little sugar pooper mother.
To all my church folk watching this show,
I didn't say it.
James is not saying this.
I
This
did
is
not
not
say it.
James the
I
preacher.
didn't say it.
This is that
Give it under
the
God.
rest of he said. She
Hey.
said.
Under
The
God.
lady.
to all my church folks
sinners.
watching this show,
I'm
just know
sorry,
that we
church
real.
members. I did not say that.
I'm sorry.
Just,
Well, Tucson
Before
is
you
having a
got
moment.
saved.
I'm gonna let Tucson in. He's
What did
sharing.
he say?
He said his mother was OC. So I believe for all of you. And it took her death for me to acknowledge how that relationship affected how I engage women. It's real.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Tucson, because we can tell. I love you so much, and I thank you for sharing that with us.
all right, that was from the light skinned audience.
But we
Sorry.
all are affected, and once
We all
we
are.
realize it, then that's not enough. There's something else you need to do. You cannot let that be your excuse as to why you are this way or that way, especially if the results of your actions are results.
True, because what ends up happening with trauma is you mentioned something about your alarm bells. Each one of us have built in systems to alert us when there is trauma or pain coming. And when you have unprocessed trauma, your system is on high, it stays on high. It does not have a balancing energy with it. And so oftentimes that is where, if your system stays on high, that is where you are living, operating, and making decisions in fear. And if you base your decisions on fear, what you fear, you often create. Reattracting the trauma that you are afraid would happen back to you. I'll give you a prime example. There's a couple that I've worked with in the past where the young lady had been rejected. Rejection from childhood. This is rejection in a previous relationship. There's a divorce, so she's been divorced and then she's been rejected in the past. And now any type of disagreement as rejection. And because she sees it as rejection, they end up spinning their wheels. And now the sad part about it is the two of them are really just now addressing the fact that, and because she has felt rejected, some of your behavior that you are doing is pushing the rejection trigger. Do the two of you come together and understand the person you're with and not push that trigger again? And how do you respond once you've seen that that trigger has been pushed? And this is just a small fraction of one particular piece of trauma that happens to us in everyday life. I don't know that I know somebody who has not felt significant rejection. But believe it or not, rejection is traumatic.
It is.
Tucson has a question for you, James. He said, address this, please. If we are
How you know that was for me?
Because I know he wants to hear you.
He doesn't want to hear it.
He don't believe nothing I say, so I know he ain't talking to me. Address this, please. If we are all the sum total of all that came before us, what number our ancestors' experience live within us? He'd argue that a lot of that dictates how we relate today.
The short answer to that is yes. But what Tucson is talking about is
generational curse.
The universe, God. You know, some people say universe, God. That all of us are made up of energy. And if you look at the laws of thermodynamics, energy cannot be destroyed. It cannot be created. It can only be transferred. And so the sum total of our ancestors and that energy is still permeating through the atmosphere, through the universe, through us today. And so, yes, we are the sum total of all that we have experienced. It is the absolute reason why supremacists, and I'm not using color, I'm just saying supremacists, do not want you to have an identity. Reasons, because if you don't have an identity, your children will have an identity. Your children's children will not have an identity, and if you don't have an identity, they will give you an identity. So cannot walk out of the house without somebody else's name on their back.
You don't walk around with somebody else. You got a Tommy Hilfiger on you?
Yeah, he said without it. I could do without it.
I thought you said.
No, I was saying how many of you can't walk out of the house? There are whole generations of people who must wear somebody's name. And that is because for generations, their name didn't matter.
It was a video on Facebook about that. It's like in black and white.
And
they
in
show
1950s.
Because we were so our race was so rejected and we didn't have any identity. So going to the store for us, that would be like a moment for him to get that Dobbs hat and put it on.
Yeah, I know a video. Yes.
And that Wilson leather coat. Or she would go and say, "Let me have those pearls," and she would have those pearls, and then she'd get that Madam C.J. Walker hairstyle. So that was how we identified with, we've arrived. Look at my Dobbs hat. I'm saying it
because me being me, my name isn't enough when I walk in the room, and that is why they are continuing to try to keep up the infighting, which is why I think shows like He Said, She Said is so important. Because what you are doing, Wanda, what you are doing is you're saying, instead of us fighting, let's get to know one another. Let's get to learn about one another. Let's get to understand one another. And if we can do that, we can come together. And I'm going to tell you right now, if we came together, it would be scary.
Transparency.
It would be scary. It would be scary.
Segue that into how to communicate more effectively with each other, because what seems to, and with that, the idea to improve our relationships with men and women, we really are at an impasse on, it seems sometimes, on how to talk to each other that the other doesn't get on the defensive, or what I hear a lot of men say sometimes, and I don't even know how, a lot of men don't know how this feels, or that women don't take accountability for, they say how they feel and we won't accept that it happens to them. The example I'm giving, and women were responding back to this, but it was really pissing off the guys. They were like, what in the world? Y'all just don't listen to us and y'all don't hear us. I'm like, I don't even know what to say. You say, I'm sorry for what you're going through, and they still mad. We're like, whoa, I don't know what we just really are at an impasse with communicating with each other, that the other gets so defensive, the other gets so defensive. We want you to take accountability for my feelings. We want you to take accountability for our feelings. I want you to stop making memes to say this. And we like, I ain't making the memes. Well, then when you don't see the memes, then you're actually against us. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm confused. How do we talk to each other? What do I say? Let me shut up. I just go next. I'm like, oh gosh, we really are the infighting sometimes I just don't know where to go with it, because you think you're being supportive, but if you say I support the women, then women aren't being supportive of the guys, and the guys feel like I'm being supportive of you because I said I'm down with me too, and now you mad because you're not listening. I'm like, I don't know where to go. When we talk about how to communicate effectively with each other, hear what men are saying to us. How can men hear? People, I think, want to be heard, but I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm hearing them, but then they say, "No, you're not." And I'm like, "Oh gosh, okay, I thought I did." That's one particular topic comes up a lot. We have the group He Said, She Said on Facebook. Please join our group and help with these discussions. If you have something to say, to hear from you. So, what do you think? I know I said a lot. All at the same time.
Level 5, James. Level 5. I'm paying attention. Come on.
So I'm gonna give an example of something, and then I'll sort of round this around. If I said to you, "Compromissimo,"
What? I mean, no comprende.
Okay.
I don't know what language that was.
Oh,
Absolutely.
now if I said it again, "O compromiso," compromiso.
Sarah Vaughan to you too.
Say French or fry.
That's what I would do.
I said it in 4 different ways.
But the same thing.
I said the same thing, but you don't hear me because I'm speaking a completely different language.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you were able to communicate with me was to say, I don't know.
Okay,
So we have to first understand that we are definitely talking 2 different languages. We get that.
Yeah.
We're going to keep having the same problem. You're speaking English, and men, we're speaking Spanish. Or let me do it differently. Ladies, you speak in Spanish and we speak in Japanese. They sound similar, but they're very different. Some of the same words and things. And until we recognize, number one, we are speaking 2 totally different languages. We might be using the same words, but we speak in 2 different languages, so they're going to be interpreted differently. We're going to keep having this problem.
And then the key to that is not to try to change it. It is what it is. It's the language we speak. That's the language they speak. Now let's learn how to make it work. Understand.
I don't have to speak your language then, right?
You just have to understand.
You have to. Yeah. If you want to communicate with
I want to
me,
hear from a man. I want to hear.
If you want to communicate with a man, you do have to learn and speak my language. And if I want to communicate with you as a woman, I need to learn and speak your language. I cannot expect you language and understand in your language. Doing for decades. We are speaking one language, and we are not only expecting, we are demanding that you interpret what I'm saying in your language and interpret it correctly. And it's just not gonna work.
Nobody ever taught me Japanese.
Now, if you want to be in a relationship, there are hundreds of thousands of ways to learn Japanese. And here's one of them. Or a woman starts to tell you their language, believe them.
If it makes no sense to me in my Latin.
It's not gonna make sense in your Latin. Believe them. So if I said to you, it's not pronounced la, it's pronounced eh. And if you keep pronouncing it as la, you're gonna you're gonna be saying it wrong. And I'm never gonna understand what you're saying.
That's true. Then the garbage won't get taken out, and then you won't be friends with Facebook on the X.
Now I'm glad you used that garbage. I'm glad you used that garbage example. Let's go back to that garbage example. If you want to say it in man, can you take the garbage out? Then the answer would be yes. Oh, let me take, this is important, because what you're telling us is move it up on the priority list to numero uno. You have to say that mean, can you take the garbage out now? But if you say, honey, can you take the garbage out? Some men will answer yes.
Because I will too.
Yes, I can.
I can.
And you all might think, well, that's crazy. But that's, some of us, that is how we communicate.
So what I'm hearing you say, and I'm not, so correct me if I'm wrong, Is it being more direct to speak Japanese? Is it being more, because I want the garbage out just meant take it out, but saying I want it out now, does that give you more? To me, I can't get to it right now.
Let me say this. I can't teach you Japanese in one sitting.
His Japanese.
You got to learn Japanese. Most men's Japanese is the same, and most women's Japanese is the same.
It is.
But you're not going to learn Japanese in one sit. You have to be open to, the first thing is knowing, and knowing is half the battle. You got to be open to, I am speaking Latin and he is speaking Japanese. So if I ever want to communicate with this person I love, I need to learn Japanese. Say to a man in Latin, if he interprets it in Japanese, it might be very different than what you actually meant.
And I think then and only then can you have it when there are two people willing to learn each other's language. Will it work? Because there's always one person who can interpret and they go on with it, but there's a block on the other side, and that's the key. You got to find two people the same connection in that, and it just
who's willing to learn.
And we don't take the time. We don't take the time. We do not take the time.
Everything is microwave.
We want to feel good now.
Yeah.
Now.
I love you now because I've been told everybody messed up. So I just got to figure out what you're messed up, and that it just goes back to we in that.
I love you now, but you don't even know how I tick. You don't know nothing about me yet.
To know me first.
You're right. Let's speak. Learn my language. I'm trying to learn your language. So, for example, if I
come on, that was a flesh example.
Yeah. I had to remember. I'm
Wait a minute, hold on. Come on, James. Come on.
Oh my goodness. So, for example, if I say it to walking down the street, you know what? Man, I love your body. I love the way you walk and your shape and this and that and the other. If a man was to say that, what he's trying to communicate is the essence or the aura of who you are. I like. She might hear you don't like. So what you trying to say? I ain't smart. You only like I'm not smart. So what we just communicated is brains. I don't care nothing about this. I don't care nothing about that. And so if we don't learn each other's language, what is going to be meant for good is going to be taken a different way. So I'll give you guys a prime example. In Illinois and in most states, if you want to get a divorce, you cite irreconcilable differences. I think that is the dumbest thing. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. With differences that are irreconcilable. You will not reconcile the differences between men and women. It's not possible to do. Learning the differences, learning them first and embracing them you will get a bang out of life. And here's an example of learning the differences. Number one, women is scientifically proven you use more words than men. They say it's about 70,000 to 7,000.
I believe it.
You use way more words than men. So you will come into a room, be with your significant other, and you want to connect with him by doing what?
Talking.
I got something to tell you. Guess what happened?
Yeah. And listen, we do our best, and I promise you this. Watch him the next time. If his eyes get a little glazed over after about 10 or 15 minutes, he don't know what you're talking about.
No, my man will be like, you know what? I really don't want you to share this with me right now.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, why are you trying to show me that? I don't. No.
I'll just ask. When I don't get a response, I'll be like, you really don't care about that, do you?
Yeah.
And then
but that's
like,
but see,
it's okay.
Now
I ask.
In Japanese, let me tell you what you really don't care about that. This means that means nuclear attack.
I did in the past. I did. I'll be like, you ain't listening to me. I'm trying to talk to you. You supposed to be in my feelings. You supposed to be on my side.
That means watch out for the red button.
I used to do all of it. When I don't hear an immediate response or a grunt or the door click or anything, I'm like, about what happened at work.
And no man, no Japanese is gonna answer that. That we not answering
that.
What?
He
when a man does that, not listening, that's not personal.
No,
it's
male. We're not going. We use less words than you. here's the difference. What you really need to be doing with your girlfriend, you trying to do with your boyfriend. Some of these conversations that's gonna take 2 hours, 3 hours, the desperate housewife, you need to have that conversation with your girl, your guy, to sit through that. It's cruel and unusual punishment.
And watch Atlanta Housewives and the Have and Have Nots. Yeah, that's kind of mean.
And this is about so some crazy examples, but I'm gonna scientifically, our brains are made up very differently. We will always use more words than we do. Here's another real irreconcilable.
What'd you just say, Valencia?
I said, the women are smarter thing.
Hashtag women know it. Women know it all.
Read 2 sides.
I've been ignoring his comment. I've been ignoring because he trying to incite some.
No, he's telling you the truth.
He said, "Wait, that." If you want it out, take it out and accept his ways and customs. You agree with that?
No, the last.
Oh, he said, "Man, I swear to God, I could care less." Oh, he said,
"That's it." It's the truth.
It's the truth.
So that's why I just asked in the door. You're not really listening.
That's a set in Japanese. That's a setup for failure. In Spanish, that might be like a way to be honest. If you said to another lady, "You don't really care about that," and she could say, "No, I really don't care about that," you're like, "Girl, let's talk about something else." To a guy, if you say you don't really care about that, he'd be like, he'll pause and be like,
"No, right." He don't know what to say. This is a set of questions
because it is a set of questions in Japanese.
No, but it's not. Well, I mean, for me, it's not the fake Hawaii missile attempt. It just give me, Okay, we'll stop talking about that.
No, but see, ain't no man gonna interpret. I know to stop talking about that. There are very few of us that will interpret your question. You ain't really listening, are you? To mean, let's talk about something else. We will not interpret it that way. Yeah, that is not Japanese.
What is Japanese? Explain that same situation in Japanese. If I come in talking and I really want you to listen, but all the words I had to say, and I think this is a really important topic, I want to talk about it, but you don't really want to talk about it right now. What do you do? And he's turned me off. What is the right Japanese?
I'm gonna tell you what you do. He's gonna do you just like this.
Fake it. I'm okay with that.
I don't even want you to fake it.
Did you really need him to listen?
Yeah. I don't even want you to
listen. I told you that, and he said, "I don't remember you."
I don't remember you telling me that. Do you know how many times women will say to their mate, "I said X, Y, Z," and he was like, "I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
I don't know why. We never talked about that."
Threw me out. I don't know if was Japanese and Latin at the time, but at least, or like you say, I'll know that you have to learn which conversations are girlfriend conversations and which conversations. But I do think some people feel like they want their significant other to be their friend. Yes, and you should be able to talk to them about all your stuff.
Yes, your girlfriend. Or your friend. See, this is Latin and Japanese. This is Latin and Japanese. If you are communicating with me in my language, or if you want friendship, you have to understand who you want it with. A guy is just built, made, designed certain ways. Our brain does not use as many words as yours does to communicate the same thing. Blue car, outside, driving fast, look good. What's that? The girl will be like, "Man, this car, it had the dice in the middle. We don't need all of that.
The wheels are shining, and then you could tell that we'd add more.
I think he should use some else besides cars, because that's when they will go into all of that. He probably should have said something.
Right.
Go talk about going to the mall. They different. They in, they out. You know what I'm saying? Prom, suit. Need it, get it, go. That's them. We up in there like, no, this gonna make me look slap. Hold on, I gotta go down low, pop up, and all this dress too short. I got, so that's
prime example. Yeah. How many? If you've ever had a wedding, how many guys be like, just point me to the altar and I'll be there.
My husband.
I ain't trying to. I don't need to pick the flowers. I don't need none of that. Point me to the altar and I'll meet you there.
Because they don't want.
When I got married, he was involved.
Not necessarily be bothered, but they don't want to go to all those specifics. They like, what color tux? Black, white.
Here's a notable difference. Your brains connect every dot known to man. Ours operates in silos and boxes. Talking about the camera camera. We're not talking about the production of the video and when it's going to be done and how we're going to edit it. And we're not talking about none of that. We're talking about the camera. You all are having a conversation. You all are having a conversation that your man is not having. Conversation that you're not having, because we're talking about the camera, production of videos, and do you see what I'm saying?
It's a process.
Well, Tucson said he's not inciting nothing. He said that's the controlling factor of women.
Of women? How are we trying to control?
He already told us it was his mom issues. He told us already.
I mean, what am I trying to control?
He already told us.
What he's talking about.
So I see the garbage bothering you so much, take it out. He said men want relaxation at home. That's it. A woman wants order. To compromise, you're going to have to relax, because we have to compromise to your needs. Because we aren't as vocal, we tend to look like villains.
Tucson, which one of us is the preacher? Because that was a message in and of itself.
Which one?
That was what he just said.
Okay, yeah, because that was Japanese. Talk to me.
Oh my! Y'all really didn't understand that?
Say it again. I missed it because
I'm gonna try to translate into Latin.
I'd have to
what Tucson is saying is, men at home, primary reason for coming home is to relax. That is it. Nothing else. Our primary reason for coming in the door is to relax. Ladies' primary reason, because of the way our makeups are different, is order. She cannot relax without order in her home. Men cannot have order without relaxation. What he is saying is, to get the order, you may have to relax a little bit, because men can't give you order without being able to relax.
Okay, but that's why we already cleared that up, Mr. Tucson, when we said, can you get the garbage soon? When you can. Now. We gave you the little, or we said now, and that's when you're supposed to respond with, not right now, honey, or whatever. And so if you aren't vocal, you are the villain, because we gave you your time to say, I can't get to it.
Hold on.
Or
Now, I'm glad you said that. If you aren't vocal, you are the villain. That would be having a relationship with the man the same way you'd have it with the women. With the woman, men were designed by their creator not to be as vocal as you. He is not a bad man.
He might not have to vocal, but if I'm asking you a question, the time it says insert vocality right there. That you go and you say a response, and at that time, if you say, "Baby, no, I'm not gonna get to that garbage right now," that's okay. I think we're almost villainizing the woman for asking. That's what I think we get derailed, because I'm asking for the garbage. The garbage is a conversation. The toilet seat up or down, whatever. These are all conversations, and they shouldn't be villainized for asking. And when I ask you, you have a responsibility to respond.
So I'm gonna give you kudos. If my fiance was here right now, she would have hugged you. She would have hugged you right now. And she'd like, go ahead, girl. Yeah. So I hope she not listen. But recognize that it does feel oftentimes like you're villainized for asking the question. What men are really trying to say, and I come on the show and I feel like I'm defending men all the time. What men are really trying to say is, for not answering the question the way you expected me to answer the question. Villainize you for asking the question, but don't villainize me for not answering it the way you anticipated. Now, for some women, not the women who have been a part of James Bourget coaching, and not the women who have been healed, etc., but for some people, answering when they ask a question, there is only one right answer. And you all know people like that. There's only one right answer.
That's true.
And so when you ask, are you listening to what I'm saying? It's like red alert. Hold it. Pause.
She trying to say I ain't listening to her, and she mad.
Now here's another thing. Many men are answering what they think you're trying to say, not the words that came out of your mouth. We communicate differently. So when you ask, are you listening to what I'm saying? The answer is, how could you not be listening to what I'm saying? Or how come what I'm saying is not important to you?
We're not Latin.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Because you don't speak Latin. Yeah. Well,
how do we fix that?
Step one, first is recognizing that we speak two different languages. Step two is when your mate tells you interpreting or tells you their intent, believe them. Believe them. And then, and here's some common language to use. When you finish a statement or you've heard a statement finish, saying is this. You put their Japanese into your Latin and tell them, did it translate?
Yeah.
Did it translate correctly? Yeah. And the more you do that, the easier the translations become. You saying is, you not gonna take the garbage out.
When I want you to, right now.
Is that what I hear you saying? No, see, no. On a more serious note, making sure you put their Japanese or our Japanese into your translator to see if you got what they're saying, and then you give a person an opportunity to correct what they're saying. Because a lot of times I'm going to speak from my own personal experience in this one. Take the life coach hat off for a second. Tell me often, I'm interpreting your actions, or my actions might be different, and you might be interpreting my actions based on something else you've seen. But my actions might be the same as someone else's actions, but my intent might be different. So hear me when I tell you what my intent is. Because we don't speak, because men are not very vocal, you have to hear their intent. Because often you can't interpret actions through Latin, Japanese that was giving it to you.
Say that again. I mean, I heard you, but it didn't go. I didn't understand it.
I'll give a ghetto example.
Give an example of what James just said.
Yes, a guy I've known for 20 years, and yes, I'm calling you out, Jody. He keeps inboxing me. I'm aggravated.
This is Japanese. This is Latin
version
of your Japanese.
Because he's definitely Latin, and I'm definitely Portuguese. He would keep inboxing me. He would keep inboxing me, and he, send me jokes, send me the latest, whatever, delete this, Facebook, whatever. Oh yeah, he's probably watching right now. Hey boo, I said, stop sending me this ish. I said, let me know when we're ready to go out on a date. So then he tried to flip it because he was Latin and I'm Portuguese. He was like, well, you didn't say nothing about the day before. So I told him I stopped. I became real, like James said. I just got real direct. I said, I'm not going to keep going back and forth on the DM with you about this. I said, when you're ready to go on a date, this 20 years. It's not nobody I just met 2 weeks ago. This is 20 years I've been knowing this man. I said, then let me know. Because I was real direct. He was like, what's wrong with you? T-Bills, are you tripping? What's the problem? I said, I don't have a problem. Happy New Year. I did the sugar coat and everything. And then he said, well, what's wrong? I said, how long have we known each other? He said, oh, well, so. About 20 years. I said, have we went out for coffee? So all he could say was, no. When my schedule allows, we'll go out for coffee. I said, okay. If I'm here and I'm available, I'll go. Dumb. He was, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm sitting here joke, big booty jokes, big, black love. I don't want to hear that.
You know what we want to talk about.
Right.
So translate that story to what you just said.
I can't.
That was in Portuguese. So there we go.
I was listening in Japanese.
You gotta be specific. You have to be specific.
Oh, the end result, right? Give me your version of the.
Be specific. That's what I have learned through all of these years in a failed marriage. If you don't be specific, it's just like how they say in your prayer request. Women say, "I want a man," or guys,
you get any man,
right? And you be specific.
Get one.
There have been times that I have said, "Yes, I want a man," but then I got a guy in a wheelchair. Or I got a guy that lived with his grandmother, so, but I wasn't specific. I didn't say 6 feet, clean fingernails, working, car,
okay, stop.
Home,
what's with y'all with these fingernails?
Dirty fingernails. You finna put them on me or, somewhere close to me. You're going to get the germs on me. Right. I was being, because of the church people watching. Hey, man.
You are.
So dirty fingernails is nasty. So, would you, and do your fiance have crusty lips? Hey, see, so that's what I'm talking about.
My feet crusty, though.
correct y'all.
Okay,
Before y'all expose all y'all crustiness, let's
sorry.
reel this back in.
You just
like,
got
whoa,
Tell them
stop,
Susan,
stop,
dirty hands
stop.
and
I'm
fly.
sorry. You just got to
Word
work
gas
specific.
thing.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Just be
So
specific.
what's it? What? Again, don't admit nothing else that's crusty on y'all. Stop.
I'm like, what in the?
You're listening. He said, she said on IntellectualRadio.com.
Specific.
And
probably
you got to be
pronounced
real
it
specific about what you
incorrectly,
want to
but-
talk about. But what we are talking about right now, you guys, what we've been talking about here, communicate better between men and women here, and how now we've learned we speak different languages, and we are trying to hear Japanese and we speak Latin, and it really is coming out that, I mean, just then you said a whole lot of stuff. I was like, well,
I got a question for
and I
James
didn't get
on
that.
this. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yes,
Which
I
one
feel
is
that
more
way a
important,
lot of times.
communication
Like that.
or a healed person? Because what's first? Do you learn how to communicate first? Or do you take care of your mess first, and then you can better communicate and understand Japanese? Or should you take Japanese classes first and then try to heal all at the same time? Like what you do?
Oh, that's a good one. So, ideally, you shouldn't get into a relationship with a bunch of mess. That's ideal.
For yourself, right?
For yourself.
Right.
You should get into a relationship once you have processed your trauma, that you know of. But that doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
So ideally, you should process first because it's going to be difficult to in Latin that in your language means something completely different. It could set off World War III. How many times have you all actually had arguments? Finally came back to the table and understood with one another. Y'all both were like, well, what the heck were we arguing about then?
Or now I see.
Or now I see
why
what
you came off that way. Yeah.
So first, ideally, heal your trauma, heal your, and then start taking classes in the other language. Start taking classes in the other language. So if I encourage every female to have a male friend that's platonic. I do. I just you got to be able to get information, whether it's you talking to your brother, your daddy, or somebody. And I encourage every male to have a female friend that's platonic, your sister, your grandmama, your mama, your cousin. Get information so that you can start to ask questions, and then speak to your mate about what I heard you say is. Or if you came back and you realize you're starting to feel a certain kind of way, you said X, Y, Z. Did you mean you thought or heard what you thought in your language? Did you mean da 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 da? And most of the time you can hear, no, that's not what I meant.
What if somebody don't even want to talk about, like, here you go again. I mean, like the as soon as they're used to giving a whole lot of words, so here you come with a whole lot of more words.
And that's
but here we go. Here's where you start to understand the person you're talking to. Japanese culture, we don't need a bunch of words. And so if you use a bunch of words in the Japanese culture, it's going to be seen as a sign of X, Y, Z. So when I went over to Asia, real subtle. If you handed a business card to someone in Asia, if I handed you a business card or you were handed a business card, it was a sign of disrespect.
Use a dollar.
So check this out. If you hand me this business card, if I did like this, first of all, they never handed business cards like this. But if you handed me this business card, I did like this and just put it in my wallet, it would be taken as a sign of disrespect. In America, in the American culture, that ain't nothing. So hand me the business card again. I'm gonna show you what you do.
Read it.
And then you put it away. And you never handed a business card with one hand in Asia. You hand it like this. You're presenting the business card.
Wow,
now that small cultural difference could cause you to lose business. And let me tell you something. My team prepped me before you go to Asia. Here's what you need to know. Fool, look a fool. But just that small cultural difference helped me communicate very differently with people. And so to expect them to just be okay with me handing you my business card like that, because in America, this is how we do it, is counterproductive.
And that's, I think, boom, that sense of
That
everything,
made sense,
everything that was going by, we don't know what we're saying. At the end of the day, it's language. This is my culture. You got to respect it, and you got to learn how to navigate it, because you over here on my territory. So that takes me to this. We're at home. It's both of our territories. I want order.
You want to hand it in two hands. I don't care. I'm just going to grab it and go.
Thank you, Wanda.
I'm giving you my business card when I come home, honey.
So here it is.
Right.
Now,
I want you to look at it before you put it away.
now here it is. Here's in the home. This is what we talk about. This is where we get in the grown-up relationship. In the home, if it is a cultural misnomer in my culture to do it this way, respect my culture. And I will respect your culture if it's a cultural misnomer to do it the other way. So, for example, if you need order, I'm going to respect the fact that you need order and try to give you order where I can. Telling you crazy for needing order.
I think it feels like women get that more so, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like we get the more of you needing order is you always bugging, always doing this, and where does it come that you realize that
we need that order? Where's the compassion for us needing the order? It always sounds like the men kind of want the compassion first.
That we
it's like nobody's right. It's like nobody's
let you come in and
then,
one.
Then you get the happy life, happy wife, and then I know happy spouse, happy house. That's men trying to steal.
There it is.
Mr. James Borshay.
That's it.
If my fiance was watching or listening today.
Come on, Jamie,
fiance.
Bring her in here. We gonna add her to it.
Right. Hey, finna be Mrs. Borshay. Come in, girl.
She is watching. She just
tell us, Jamie.
Oh Lord Jesus, she just tuned in.
Yeah. So explain, Sarah.
So what I was
he can't stop laughing. He like, well, wait a minute.
So what I was saying, listen, if what you said was why it doesn't feel like the men always want peace more important than order. I don't have a really good answer for that.
I appreciate
I will say I'm just gonna say what I've learned. This is not professional coach. What I've learned is there will be no peace
unless you give them
unless we give you order.
And so why come men just don't accept that? Like,
I'll tell you why we don't accept it.
Because here's a piece of that, and I'm gonna take it a step further, because we always put back with culturally how we were, and I think this goes back to where, for me, I'll speak for me. I'm the type of woman, if I'm at home, I can't wait to see the one I'm with. Right? So whether I'm the one at home in the past, it was the woman at home. So here's this woman has been in this peace all day for you, and I think that gets lesson and not respected and understood from men, and receives and appreciated the way we want, and then that's what causes the chaos. So I just, but how do we get to who's gonna put the
share from my personal experience, and my fiance and I, we were just talking about this. When both of us out, she's doing business and I'm doing business, etc. And when we get out, when we come to one another and meet with one another, I personally usually get to her. My energy started the day at a 10. By the time I get to her, it's about a 1. And so I am trying to now use her to energize myself, saying I need order. And so I come home. It's unfair because I will come to be with her and I don't have any energy left. Instead of replenishing my energy before I see her.
Absolutely.
Saying, you help me replenish my energy. So I'm almost putting the onus of the replenishment on someone else.
Absolutely.
So I don't even have the energy to give you the order you talking about, seeing you drained. kind of been talking about that. And so for what I've learned is you cannot give your family, your significant others, your last.
The rest of what
you gave. Boy, you should see Valencia. Did you see the look I just got? The rest
of what you got.
You can't give and so oftentimes we get in these relationships and we're giving our significant other. And so if we came to a relationship or be with our significant other with a more full tank, not that big of a deal for us. That's not making sure that there's order, and you all giving us peace is not that big of a deal. But peace, what I've seen is peace when you guys don't feel heard.
Absolutely.
There will be no peace if she is not heard.
Absolutely.
I agree with you.
And the quicker you hear us, the quicker we shut up.
But see, I've switched it. Because I've did the arguments. I've had the failed marriages. I've did the temper tantrums. He not listening. Again, he didn't take the garbage out. He didn't put gas in the car, whatever. So now the way that I handle it for T Bizzle, I just look at how much energy am I going to waste on fussing at him about what he didn't do. Energy into something else, because I'm real, I'm all kinetically numb, your whole ring of KO now. So if I start off snapping off on him about what he didn't do, then he's gonna be, she get on my nerves, she talks too damn much, blah 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 blah. And then there you go with the Latin and the Japanese. So again, that's why I said I just go, you really don't want to hear that right now? You see what I'm saying? Instead of just, and he'll say, no, not really. And I say, okay. And then later on, like probably before we go to bed, then he'll say, what you talking about earlier? They did what at your job? They're more receptive to seeing it. Or instead of sweating about the garbage, I say, oh, okay, he didn't get it. I'll just take it out. I don't want to transfer the fight energy, because that's why it is. He talking Japanese, because you're so busy telling him what he didn't do, and he do come home and just take his shoes off and his feet stink and he won't watch football, or the news or whatever. Just leave him alone. I mean, that's what's working.
I'll say that right there. You just preached a message. The doors of the church are now open.
I'm just saying, look under your seat and get the basket and pass it down to your neighbor. For me, what I've learned, and it took me a long time to learn this, just leave them alone, let them breathe. I tried not to, as we say as women, Wanda and Valencia, don't trip. Because I used to go off on that. Like you all, men had this issue with some men at all. You gonna open, I got 5 boxes of cereal, Raisin, Krispies, and whatever. You gonna open all the dang on cereal.
All 5 of them.
And I used to be tripping like, why you just don't use that when it's already open? And then I thought about it. It's just food. I ain't tripping. We waste so much negative energy on what he's not doing instead of, hey baby, you home? Okay, he go to beer or whatever and then they won't trip. Japanese, Latin, I can't stand her. She get on my nerves when I come in the door.
You preaching? I ain't got.
I think that goes to what is for some women is that element of control. Women who want to control situations, some, not all, not us here, but who want to control situations and do it when I say, why can't you do it when I say do it? And do have some issue.
Yeah, but those are the red flags of people who are just really like out there, and you shouldn't be steady trying to force a relationship with people on that. But we're talking about the people who, just because I want the garbage taken out doesn't mean I'm trying to control the situation. But there
I'm not talking you. But no, I want to.
But there are some.
No, let me get this out of us. There are controlling women. On the other post the other day, the guy, when he said all these things his woman was saying to do, and I don't think he sounded like he was trying to hear her. He really did. And if you make him, at some point you're like, man, it feels like there is an element of control, and it's not you, and I'm not saying you. And yes, you can defend the women that don't do it. There are a bunch of women who don't do this, and we know this, but we do have to acknowledge that there are some women like things their way. There are some,
but they come out long before. And once again, if that's Toussaint's point, let's connect his other point then, that if you keep finding yourself with a controlling woman, you are. So why is she over there saying take this garbage out? You saying give me my piece. So you're controlling on your piece. You're trying to make your point, and she's trying to make hers. Unhealed people other. And that's what I'm saying. So at the end, that took me to the which come first. Do you got to be healed or do you got to communicate? Because those are two controlling.
From there, you have to say, what is my goal? What is my intention?
Yes.
Is it to have a healthy relationship? Do I need to stop controlling? Because that's more of what I'm saying. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, doesn't. What I'm saying is that you got to take a hold of this situation.
Yes.
I don't want to keep having garbage situations.
Exactly.
I don't want to keep fighting with you over the garbage. So what's going to change? Me want my peace. That now you have to start fixing and healing and not just saying this situation is, and we just got to deal with it. But something is
But that's what Toussaint said. That's another one of his points. Back up. If we roll back, he said, with it, just take the garbage out if you want it out. Just going too extreme, where that's still saying, at the end of the day, don't ask me to take this garbage out. I'm gonna do it, and if it's bothering you that bad, do it.
So let me tell you how we help couples reset in this situation. The first thing we ask, what is your baseline? What do you love about one another? How do you all communicate your baseline for one another? There's a reason that you two came together. Let's go back to that reason.
There's a lot of people can't even answer that, and that's
and
what's
it's not about
then we got a real problem.
That's what's said. People cannot. I bet you put 100 couples in a room, ask them why do they love the person they with, and you're gonna get the most superficial answer. We got the kids, and we have it's and that's.
And then I pause them and say, what do you love about this person that is in front of you? No, what do you love about him?
Right.
What is it about him or her? What do you love about her, the person in front of you? What do you adore? What can you not get enough of the person that's in front of you? And we do that to help reset the baseline. Once the baseline is reset, then you can start adding things on. But a lot of people have never really established a relationship foundation, and you're trying to add bricks on top of a foundation that does not exist, and the relationship is crumbling. And so you have to go back and reset the foundation and then start adding, how do we communicate? What about these children? And then start adding, I want order, I want peace. Because I will say this, controlling. This is a binary universe. There are men who are controlling as well. People who are deemed controlling, they just know of a specific way to communicate this need. That is the only tool in their tool shed. You will hear me use this term a lot. If your only tool is a hammer, everything like a nail. Or if you're the screw being treated like a nail, you're going to continue to feel hammered. What we try to do is just give people more tools to use. Put a screwdriver in your toolbox, put some sandpaper in your toolbox so that you can use different tools to communicate what you want. Because what we often give people is what you want is wrong.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
But what we're really trying to say is how you're communicating what you want is not getting you the response you're looking for. So how do we go about helping you communicate what you want to get you the response you're hoping for?
On that note, how can they reach you, James?
You can reach me at jamesborshade.com and on Facebook, Coach James Borshade, and Twitter. Find me in the university. Google me.
A 4-session package you got to check out. If you're in need of James Borshade, check that out. Hit him on Facebook.
Hit me on Facebook and we'll talk about it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Mention he said, she said, and get a discount.
Right. I'm gonna call you tomorrow.
Right. Let me use that. And I'm gonna call Kim over there for Holistic Journey Wholeness. I'm calling everybody.
You can find me on Facebook, Valencia Jackson.
Find me on Instagram, T-Bizzle is a nut. Find me here Tuesday, CGF, 9 p.m. and on Facebook, T-Bizzle.
Our sponsors, we have Ullman Home Improvement, 11636 South Pulaski. Now the number is 708-238-1829. If you have drafty windows, it's getting cold outside and you wonder where's that air coming, he can fix that for you. Tell George I sent you. 708-238-1829. Check out Journey to Wholeness Center. As for the emotional clearing is one I found has really helped me. But they have over 18 practitioners who kind of modalities, help with all different modalities. They have yoga, they have massage, they have a drum circle that is amazing. The healing through drums, just drumming a drum, really interesting thing. So please check them out. Journey to Wholeness is at 9501 New England, 08634 3664 or journeytowholeness.org. And then come out, please. My birthday is Valentine's Day, 1 month from today, and I'm going to be celebrating it on the 22nd with my sisters in media. We're going to be at Relax Lounge, 20901 Western Avenue. Celebrate my birthday. Hey, my steppers, please come out. We're going to get it. Yeah.
We're going to do a lot of stepping.
We're going to have a good time, and that we're doing in conjunction with the sisters. And then here at IntellectualRadio.com, we have coming up Jaw Jacking, the Chicago Millionaires. We have another perspective, side streets and intersections, and the ladies of Posh tonight. So check that out. And then I also want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. And I'd like to see you here. Oh, thank you to our super producer, Earl Winfrey, who's always making sure the show runs easy. Play the music. See how good he is. If we let the music come on in, okay. You guys, I'm going to see you here, same place, same time. He said, she said, IntellectualRadio.com at 2 p.m. See you next week.
All right.
2 p.m.
Right.
Happy Capricorn season.
2.
Got something in mind.